Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of the Outer Realm, everyone. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey since the very beginning. And that's been like 3 years on the network. So big thank you to Folgers. The journey would not be the same without you guys. Also, big thank you to Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, for his contribution of his time, his music, and his voice to our intro and outro, which you get to sometimes hear. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found anywhere that good music can be found. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos here at the Outer Realm. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. We're so very appreciative because we think our banners completely rock. Anyway, thank you.
We know.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, tonight, it's that time again. It is. We are nominated for a third year for the People's Choice Podcast Award in the category of Best Female Host. Huh? Yeah, kind of cool. It's just really humbling right there. So I am just going to go in there. I just got to get some banners ready. You're going to see me flash some banners around tonight, just to get in there and do a little bit of extra advertising. So y'all know where to go because the voting is very important. Anyway, you're going to see a lot of stuff coming out throughout the whole network over the coming months. So please, bear with us and get out there and just do something. We love you for it, just saying. Anyway, tonight, as per, popular request, it was a little bit different for us, but we're going to be having an open discussion on current events in the world of the paranormal. To participate in tonight's show, of course, you're going to have to go into 7 chats. Roku doesn't have a chat. And we are on UFO Paranormal, UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials YouTube, Outer Realm YouTube. We're on Facebook, United Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, Outer Realm, Canada's Most Haunted, and News on the Flip Side. We got people chiming in. We got Wayne. We've got Morgana. Hello. Nice to see you here. So, yes, lots of exciting things to talk about, actually. I had to go through, people send me things, and I do a lot of reading. Bradley, hello, Bradley. Nice to see you. So what I'm going to start by doing, I think, just because of the fact that some of the content we're going to be reading out, again, it's not finger pointing, anything like that. We're essentially just trying to get some info out there, and we don't necessarily agree with it. We don't necessarily not agree with it, but we do have a disclaimer. So, formal disclaimer: the opinions and information presented or expressed by guests, or in this case, ourselves here on the Outer Realm, are not necessarily those of us, the sponsors, or the United Public Radio Network, or its producers. We will, however, be respectful and courteous to all involved, and we do. We don't go in and just start like, that's not the case. But some of it's pretty sensitive, and again, we have to say hearsay. in some cases. So just be prepared for that. I know. It's just shoot the messengers, what I'm trying to say. So
Well, I'm trying to hold my tongue back, make sure I'm saying it right. As soon as you said that, I went,
There's just lots, I've had people say to me, I want to address this right away because it just saves me having to write anything down and posting it, things like that. I've had people say, when are you coming back on to film? Because I guess something's floating around because I'm getting extra friend requests. And I always know somewhere in the world, something's floating around, some rerun somewhere. And they're like, when are you going to do another
Paranormal
season?
Survivors on again.
Yeah, see, there we go. Yeah. I don't really watch a lot of TV in that respect, especially paranormal TV, believe it or not. But I think, last year I posted, it was on hiatus for a while, but I'm pretty much thinking I'm semi-retired from filming paranormal shows per se. I personally feel, and again, it's just, I know there's formulas, and I know that there's a lot of really good shows out there. But for me, I just feel a lot of it has been done. And I don't really have a lot of intention of going back to filming within the paranormal field, unless it's like a documentary, something super serious. I filmed with Aaron Daniels on a UFO documentary last summer, which is a lot of fun. That's something, it's more, specialized. So I don't mind looking or doing something like that. I really do enjoy more consulting behind the scenes, and I do consult on TV shows. It takes up quite a bit of my time, actually, because I do research for it, and I'm okay with that. So for right now, I have to say, I'm pretty much, I'll say semi-retired, because realistically, if I'm still willing to do the occasional thing, that I guess I can't really say I'm fully retired. So anyway, just putting it out there, and I don't have to put a thing there. Just watch the rerun. So, Bubbles,
Hey,
finding
how are you?
interesting in the news? I have a feeling you and I'll just like chime through this, and you and I are going to go, oh yeah, and we'll banter.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're just like
in the news.
In the news.
I'm seeing a lot on TikTok that I want to talk about briefly later.
Okay.
Because I think people are getting scooped up. And I noticed our friend Bishop James was doing a lot of duets, debunking many, many of them. And my biggest fear is the fear it creates and the curiosity and maybe the desire it creates to want to connect when it's not real, but you would be like something unreal.
Right.
But we'll start with you and in the news, because this little thing won't take long. I just have some tips.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, let's go with the big one first. And I'm sure you've even seen stuff on this. It's floating around everywhere. And this is the buzz with Zach Bagans. Love him or hate him, the guy is an entertainer, and he definitely does, a lot of entertaining. But we have stuff floating around with, let's say, Destination Fear. Great show with Dakota Lading and his sister, Dakota Layden. It's really, really become a hit, and apparently it has really great numbers. And all of a sudden, it sort of just got canceled. Now, where I'm going with this, of course, is there's speculation that Mr. Bagans might be behind the cancellation of the show. And Dakota's been, came out, did a public statement. And you have to understand something, too. They're bound by prior conditions and contracts. He can't come out. The same with Nick Groff, couldn't come out and just name anything or anyone.
They keep you quiet for a few years.
So he basically said, did a certain individual, did that cancel the show? He said no. Did he make a call to the network? He goes, no. He goes, are we friends? He said, no. And he would go on to say something publicly about that later on. So fans got really outraged about this. And apparently, I'm just trying to see if I sent this to myself. 1 second. I'm going to put this up.
I didn't know anything about this.
Oh, you did it? Oh my God.
No, because
Oh,
I don't follow, I don't
I
watch any
know.
paranormal shows. I know things because people tell me that something's on or isn't on. I don't even know the other show you're talking about. That's how
Whoa.
bad I am when it comes to paranormal shows. I'm being honest.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
I
Okay.
didn't
Well,
even see the one I was on. Just saying. Hi,
okay.
Chris. Chris is my cousin from the States. Big
Okay.
kisses. Thanks for showing up, honey. And hello to
Okay.
Jessica,
There's
Samantha.
one
Sorry, my family's
second
in the
here.
house here.
That's okay. One sec. I'm just going to try to forward this picture to myself, because for those who may not know, this will be like some good news here. So one second. Bum, bum. Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to wait for it to arrive,
Yeah, I
and
didn't
I'm going to
know.
put
I
this
mean,
up.
I saw Wes's comment and I didn't know what he was talking about. So I was
Oh.
just like, oh, okay. But he put it on your page. He didn't put it on the Outer Realm. He put it on
Oh,
Canada's Most Haunted. So I never comment there.
right.
Oh, see, Zach's just
Okay.
like me. Yeah.
One second. Oh, what? Don't tell me this thing come. Okay, there it is. Okay, 1 minute. Bear with me. I'm going to do this screen
Yeah,
share
no
thing because
problem. That would be
apparently people
great.
dig this. So I was like, all
So
right.
they believe that he has that much power that he can have you fired.
Well, I'll tell you as I go along. 1 minute here. There we go. So much fan
Project Fear.
outrage.
Yeah,
Okay,
never heard of
that
it.
Project Fear.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
No, because that is Destination Fear that got pulled from Travel Channel. And so much fan outrage about this. YouTube, who people don't realize, YouTube actually, they're a production company as well. And they do
Yeah.
TV series, picked them up, renamed them Project Fear.
Oh, that happens a
So
lot though.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So it goes to show you the people have a voice, and they came forward and said, we are going to, like, we're really annoyed with this. And for some reason, sorry, the other guy got cut out. So I do apologize. Picture just didn't have it. At least the version that I was able to see. So yeah, so they basically went in, and now they're continuing on.
Wow.
But where this gets weird is Nick Groff decided to come forward and do a statement also, because he believes that this is history repeating itself.
Oh,
So,
he's allowed to speak now.
right. So as we kind of go in further down, Nick took to his YouTube, started answering questions from fans and things like that as to why he left Ghost Adventures. He said he was really given no explanation. He claims that Zach refused to work with him, just sort of said, nope, not working with him anymore. And he kind of got pulled around from location to location and ended up just sitting on the sidelines. And finally, his attorney said, why don't you just leave and do something more constructive, do something better? And he did,
Yeah.
and started Paranormal Lockdown. But it gets more interesting. So he goes ahead and does Paranormal Lockdown, and things going on. They're filming. And I'm not sure if it's because of the pandemic where filming had to stop for a while, like many shows. But he was in constant communication with the producers and the network, and yeah, this was going to go on. But then all of a sudden, crickets. Everybody stopped talking to Nick about his show and filming. And then it was rumored, and I have to say rumored because there's two sides to every story and the truth in the middle. So it was rumored that Zach had been bragging about getting the show canned, to which apparently he did with Destination Fear. So this, I guess, within a circle of some of the same people. So when Nick heard about this, he essentially decided to go public about his own situation because, let's face it, it was history repeating itself, and he didn't think it was right. But at the end of the day, no one really knows what happened. But it is a
Well,
really hot topic right now.
that's sad that
I
that's a
know.
hot topic. I
If you
mean,
have that kind of power.
well, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't believe that he's that important to Zach to be. I'm just speaking my own
I
thing. I
know.
would think Zach has more. He's got other things on his mind and not have to deal with this. You have to remember, Nick did do Ghost of Shepherdstown and was released from that, and a whole new cast was made
Oh,
and a whole
yeah.
new town because I know the medium that was on that show.
So
I don't know
what's up
about
with
this.
that? right? I mean, what's up
Yeah.
with that? At the end of the
I
day, Zach is known. I mean, he love him or hate him, they're always going to have, there's always going to be controversy with respect to his ethics or integrity will always be questioned, you know.
yeah.
But I have to say, like, is it a matter of, I don't know. Is it a matter of fact that is he going to risk his reputation to do stuff like that? Apparently, he
No,
doesn't
I
like
don't.
competition when it comes to ratings.
I don't think so. I don't think he has the time to do that.
Yeah, I
I think
know.
he's a little bit past that. And
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that is, I mean, I'm
yeah.
speculating because I'm just hearing it for the first time. So
Yeah.
please don't email me because you love Zach or you love Nick.
I know. That's
I,
why I read the disclaimer
yeah,
because
I could
it's
care
not about
less.
that.
I could care less
This,
about either. I mean, I wish them well, but they're of no significance in my life. I don't work with
yeah,
either one of them.
the show
But
is
there has to be
paranormal
a
in the
hell of a
news,
lot
man.
more
That's what we're
to it than
doing.
this.
We're giving you the news, and even Bubbles didn't know. See,
No,
so
I didn't.
how many other people didn't know?
If this is true, then this is quite a precedence to set. Don't cross me, as you know.
Hmm.
Big Vegans. Vegans is a big deal in this industry. He's a very smart businessman.
Right.
He's done a lot of things well, and I think he's made a lot of mistakes, but I feel like he's come a long way.
Hmm.
But when you work in the darkness the way he does, things tend to attach and tend to
Well,
lead.
and
So we
that's
really don't know.
that's to add to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So while I'm researching and just reading up on some of this, it was rumored that Zach, I guess when he was getting ready to do his museum, that he reached out to somebody who had a collection and he went and, asked to just go in and have a look and taking pictures of everything. Like apparently the behavior was very out of the norm for him. And I wonder if it does lead to, an attachment or, I mean, we all know how it went with the Annabelle doll, and that episode was very, very controversial, but it's hard to say when you're separating truth from ratings as well. I mean, he's a clever
Yeah.
business person.
He's a very smart
Oh, he
businessman.
is. He's not a stupid man, that's
No.
for sure.
No.
You have to admire like the entrepreneurial projects that he does. I mean, he's brilliant in business, but not, it's not cool if you're walking or stepping over people, because as far as I know, Zach was actually one of the producers of Destination Fear, and that's a big deal because that's kind of like your baby. Dakota is who he is in the field because of Zach. But then,
Mhm.
he had apparently, allegedly, according to Nick Roth, made some comments about don't use Ghost Adventures on your resume. And it's like Nick said, I was a part of it. I edited the shows, I created the shows, I created like everything.
Everybody
about
knows
this.
him from there.
But
Anyone, and
that's
he's applying in the field, they're going to know who he is. I
Yeah.
just find it a little bit suspicious, and not in a psychic way. Not
Yeah.
I don't know if Nick would be listening to this or not, but
Yeah.
I have to look at it in the way I had to look at any crime, because this is a crime if you're taking someone's livelihood because you
Mhm.
feel like it. Does Bagans have the means? And yeah, but does he really care? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's looking at it personally more than he's looking at it statistically numbers. Business people tend to forget about who works for them and what happens, and
Well,
sometimes they drop shows. It's just the business part of it.
and that's just it. Having spent
Yeah.
20 darn years filming, I can tell you that it's up and down, and the fans love Ghost Adventures. I mean, it's still around how many seasons
I
later?
know I haven't watched an episode in ages.
I haven't watched paranormal television in ages, but I mean, it's still going, and that speaks volumes realistically for the fact that people love the show. Because no matter who you are, if the show isn't doing anything, it wouldn't be there. You need to have the ratings. So he's clearly doing something right. People love the content, but people love, they love the Destination Fear. I personally am happy that they found a home with YouTube. I'm happy that they're going to continue on under another name. They're not the first show, they won't be the last to go through this sort of a, of a transition and at least they do get
No.
to go on. And as for Nick Groff, he's got projects on the go as well. So I think people always find their way. They end up down a path that they're meant to go.
Yeah.
In the meantime, people are flocking to the Paranormal Museum of Las Vegas, and I wouldn't be any different.
No,
right
I would
there
be
too.
going through there as well and looking
Exactly.
to meet him. I wouldn't
Yeah.
lie about that.
Yeah.
I have my issue with this is Nick's the one on the other end who's constantly having shows dropped. And
Yes.
I know Bagans had nothing to do with Ghosts of Shepherdstown
Yeah.
changing over entire cast
Right.
and changing the name and changing the actual town.
Yeah. See, that's right. Kindred Spirits is gone as well. There's a few shows.
Is
getting
Kindred
the axe.
Spirits gone?
Yeah.
See, they brought this, I know because I follow Chip Coffey and I saw it. They brought him on to help that show along because Adam and Amy Bray, they're really good together. They're very sincere and very good investigators. They're good at what they do. I hope they get the platform they need because they do create awareness and they're kind and they care. I do like them. I've only seen one episode, but I remember them working with Jason and Grant. And look at that stuff. You want to talk about something that came out in the news years ago? Everybody was blaming Jason Hawes, and then it came out it was Grant. And it's like, guys, there are soap operas on these shows too. They're friendships and they're friendships that go wrong because they started off one way, and then Hollywood comes in and says, "We'll give you a show," and then
fame
things
and fortune
change.
does funny things to people.
It does, and some people want to stay to. From what I understood, what Jason Hawes was saying was, I wanted to stick to what we were doing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to change the way we were doing things because they were helping families for a long time before that show came around.
Yeah.
So that was the first show I ever saw.
Right. Yeah. I think, you know what? I think there's a lot of good shows out there. And I mean, look at it this way. Ghost Hunters is back.
And they have the greatest people. I mean, Dave Tango, happy birthday, Dave. Your birthday's the day after mine. Steve Gonzalez, he just has a new book out. Like they have really, and those two, watching those two together is a comedy hour. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Like when I do watch it, I have to say I watch it for the two.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you see, I do think that when things are meant to be, they definitely, they just are. Call it whatever you want. But like I said, I for one, I'm glad that I'm a fan of Destination Fear. It's one of the very few shows I do watch because I love the whole freshness of it. I love the younger people and seeing what they're doing with it. And Dakota was always one of those people, even on Ghost Adventures, because Zach could be saying, okay, you're going to go down by yourself and do this. Let's break in the newbie. The newbie's like, yeah, I'm there. Let's do it. So I think it's, I really like that it's going to have, a second life, so to speak, and go from there.
They'll probably get picked up from a streaming service for all we know. I mean, Amazon Prime can come in or Netflix can come in. They all work together with YouTube. So I wouldn't be surprised if that audience was as large as we think it is. They will have a platform regardless. I'm sorry for them that it ended up that way. It happens way too often.
Right.
But it's a little suspicious when Nick's the butt end of 3 of them. That's all I'm saying. It's a little
I don't believe in coincidence. Let's put it that way.
No, it's a little suspicious. And I have to look at it that way. So
we're supposed to come. Okay, fantastic. I'm glad. Yeah. Took my advice and had camera help on Saturday. Woo-hoo.
It's important because you have to be seen experiencing those things. I think one of the greatest downfalls with paranormal television is we never see what they see. No. We're just told to trust. And I can't because I know there's so many,
You're taking tons of hours on location, sometimes 2 days, sometimes 3, sometimes 5. And they're crunching it down to an hour.
Less, 43 minutes.
Exactly. Long hours. I can attest to that. But, I heard that also Ghost Brothers is gone. What? Yeah, Ghost Brothers.
Ghost Brothers, I only watched them once.
Oh, they're hilarious. They're awesome.
They came into Canada a little later in the scene, though. So,
Well, yeah, I have American television, but
yeah.
I was just like, what is going on? All these shows are getting canned. Hi, is it Portals to Hell? I think got canned.
Yeah, but they're doing another show. Those
I know.
two.
There's always things rolling and happening.
You notice he doesn't ever walk away from Katrina.
Yeah, I don't know.
Osborne he always has her there,
Yeah.
and he has a new
She's
show.
a good researcher. She's a great researcher.
She is.
So I
happen
again,
to
give
like
credit
her.
where
She's
credit is due.
yeah, she started on Paranormal State, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, we are too.
So are
Preston
we.
Dennett
Yeah.
tomorrow.
He's
Yes.
got a good lineup ready for
Portal
us.
to Hell. See, I love watching the Osbournes Believe. I think that is a
That was
show
a good
that
show as well.
when
Yeah.
it's on, the repeats are on because they're all new to me. They're always
Right.
marathoned, and I can't fall asleep because I think
Ozzy
it's
Osbourne,
hilarious.
Ball lightning, best line ever.
Oh my God, that's
Everything's
Ozzy's.
ball lightning with
It's
Ozzy.
like
You have to love
Joe's
him.
bleed through.
I
It's the
know.
answer to everything. It's so funny.
Okay, we'll put one more up and then I'll go to the next topic. Going afterwards, when you two step in interviewing paranormal investigator. Well, I think it'd be an outstanding show.
Oh, wouldn't
Because
it be
wouldn't it
cool
be
to
cool?
do an hour of paranormal show and then afterwards to
You
step
two.
in interviewing the paranormal investigators?
I think it would be outstanding, but
It would, but it would have to be some exceptional footage.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, our show's going to archive, and most of our listeners are just that. They're listeners.
It's true.
Yeah. Once Roku takes up,
we're an FM station.
Yeah.
So a lot of the majority of the listeners are actually audio from all over the world. We have like lots of audio servers that go out. So, it'd be great though. I mean,
once Roku picks up, you can do something like that because then you can show the experience and go through it. But that would be a different kind of setup of a show because we really don't have 2 hours. We have our station IDs, beginning, end, and middle. So like other programs on TV with commercials, we're kind of kicked down to even less time. But yeah, it would be great. Not all are just listening. Thanks. Yes, no. They're not.
Oh.
There's more listeners than viewers. So,
okay, we're going to the next one.
Yep.
Waverly Hills.
Oh, my favorite place.
To say, Waverly Hills has been in the news for over a year, I believe, throughout last year, because the Waverly Hills Historical Society basically got into litigation with owners Charlie and Tina Mattingly. And they went to court, and it was apparently a really long ordeal. People, again, this is what I love. The people stepped up, and the people said, no, I don't think so. We're not going to do this. And I'll tell you something. They were having huge protests outside the building. And next thing you know, things are resolved. So they got resolved.
What was
they agreed to work together.
You didn't tell everybody the issue.
Well, the issue. You can jump into it.
No, I know that the Historical Society, and then there was people who actually wanted to take it down as well. But they have to remember this is a site of death for a lot of people and their family members. And this would be like saying we're going to remove the Titanic from the bottom of the ocean, or we're going to remove the ships in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Or we're going to remove all the floating ships in the museum, the Naval Museum in Fall Rivers. Like, what are you thinking? You can't. You know how much I love Waverly Hills. It surrounds my office. You can't see it right now, but I have a lot of Christopher St. Booth's pieces, photos that he has taken and signed on my walls. I have some kind of spiritual attachment to that building. And I would imagine that it being such a power spot, it would touch a lot of people to say, hell to the no. This is staying.
It was a really strong, people were outraged, but yeah. I'm really glad that they came together. They came to a resolution. The family will retain a seat on the board. They will work together to preserve it. And I know that now they are finally back up and at it with a lot of events are starting again and investigations, and doors are open basically. And again, this comes from people with a passion for a location they really love, and they fought for it, and they helped the family, and the family did retain ownership of it, but now they will work in conjunction to save it. Because again, coming from somebody like myself, Wayne, the manor house was historically designated, and they don't always do what's best interest for the building. They want you to get help to go to the lowest bidder, and Wayne spent like 12 years undoing the crap that the lowest bidder did. It took forever to do that. And they think they have more power than they do, at least in Canada. And it was just like, no, we're going to go to your governing body. These people all get money. They want to keep as much of it in their pocket as possible. I don't know how it works in the U.S., but if they could work together.
I imagine state to state it's different as well, because some historical societies you see in New York, they are tough. They want to keep the buildings alive, and they fight for funding, and they fight for private donations.
Absolutely.
Boston is the same thing. If you look at Boston and you look at these homes, the facades are original, but you can do whatever you want to the interior, but you cannot change the facade of a home in the city of Boston. It's against the law.
But it's the same thing here. And this is where he fell into it. And the house was recycled in blue when he bought it. He's like, that wasn't original back in 1872. So just things like that. Well, you can't put the garage up. It has nothing to do with the facade of the house. You see how they tend to push their weight around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these historical locations fall victim to that. So just always know you guys have rights and that you can fight it. And I'm really glad that the Mattingleys fought it. And, the people fought alongside them, and they made sure that they saved the place.
It's
good because, yes, exactly. It's a very public place, which means hopefully that, the powers that be will govern themselves in a way as to which is best for the building. So business as usual, places back up, check them out, because they look like they, checked out their site. They look like they've got some really great things coming forward.
I'm so happy for them. See, I didn't know what the outcome was. I just knew that when it was happening.
Yeah.
And that is a place that you do not hear very much. I've never heard anything negative. I've always heard communication when those who have passed there.
Right.
But nothing too negative. And people who have never had experiences there, there's a lot of love attached to that building for a lot of investigators.
Yes.
So, I'm really happy for them.
It's not hard when you go to locations. And again, I speak from experience of investigating for years. When you're a repeat investigator at a location, because there have been a couple that I would go into a lot to investigate, the spirits get to know you, and they get to trust you. And you find as you go along that the evidence, I have to say evidence. What is really evidence? I'll have to get Elliot to chime in on that when he's on next month. But it becomes a little bit more, because they become a little bit more communicative, and they work with you more. So I can see how a place like Waverly would have so many people going through its doors, would have, would build a rapport with the location. So I think it's great. I love it. I think it's just wonderful. This next one's going to be very interesting, and I know we're definitely going to be, we're going to be talking about this one. So I am going to put up a link. I'm going to read this, okay, and then we're going to chime in, okay. Here we go. All right. Headline.
When she does that, it's hot.
No, this is good. This popped in last week, and when the whole idea of paranormal news came up, I went, oh, this one has to go in. So this is, you know what? Let me put it up so I can read it and you guys can see it. Okay, so I'm not just reading it. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this. Window. All right, here it is. Share it up. Okay. So I'm going to read it. You're going to just see me sort of go up. Okay. Exorcist police officer claims 28 girls opened a doorway to evil with a Ouija board. An NYPD cop turned Ghostbuster has spoken out of an incident in Pasto, Southern Colombia, where 28 schoolgirls fell ill and had to be hospitalized after using a Ouija board. He apparently now works as an exorcist. I'm just going to kind of jump ahead. 28 girls fell ill because they opened a doorway to evil, playing with the board. They were hospitalized after suffering from anxiety and fainting episodes on the 27th of February. I don't want to get into the name of the school. That's whatever. I say private, but here it is. They were treated. He's a former NYPD cop, and he travels to the U.S. performing exorcisms with his wife, Harmony, and claims to rid homes and individuals of evil spirits. He has now claimed theories that something evil is happening in the area that is targeting children spiritually that is not being addressed. Despite the claims, there's no evidence Ouija boards cause sickness or illness. Self-described religious demonologist, officer, 19 years, DeFlorio, retired Ghostbuster tools. Okay, so essentially, I mean, Ouija boards have been used since around the 6th century BC, 100%. So here they are, and this is his theory. So, thoughts?
Me?
Why not? Are we not having a convo?
Yes, I'm thinking I'm the worst person to ask this. You know how I feel about anything used for communication. I know Ouija just gets a really bad name, but I do hate them. I'm not gonna say not, because most of the communication stems from there, because it always starts there, especially around Halloween. This becomes a big headache for both of us. It's constant and continuous, and then you would continue that total engagement without the board. You really don't need the board. You could just speak and you're causing the same thing. This thing that they're all sick, I find could possibly be mass hysteria from the fear of using it. I don't know.
Well, here's what I did read that I just saw. So my bad here. When looking at spiritual cases in Colombia, it's important to note that the incident at this institution is not an isolated case. Currently, there are 5 documented cases occurring at multiple schools in the country after the use of Ouija boards by teens, and potentially more incidences that are not documented. So, for example, one previous incident mentions a teen girl standing up, speaking a strange language, and hitting her brother with a stick. Well, Amelia can attest that she probably wanted to hit her brother with a stick too.
Several times.
Growing up, I'm just kidding.
Times.
I'm not trying to make light.
I understand.
It's a serious thing, but
that could be. See, and that's the whole thing. Her case is probably real, but how many out of all of them? I mean, can we just rewind and take a look? Go back in time and take a look at the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
There was a lot of illness. They were throwing themselves on the floor. They were saying that they were being cursed by these women who were not witches. And yet there was all kinds of symptoms with them, all the way up to fevers and vomiting and convulsions. This is a problem. You would have to take each one of those cases individually.
Well,
I'm not saying that there is not any demonic attachment to any of this, because I really believe that there is quite a bit there.
Well, another incident reported just last year states that a group of teens collapsed at a school. Again, violent vomiting, abdominal pains, muscle spasms after using a board.
That's also the same thing as Salem witch, though. It's the exact same things. If you believe that this is going to do this to you and you're a spiritual center, chances are you feel guilty AF for using the Ouija. And that could cause it. But I would still have to take one at a time, because I'd be so concerned about the one that is affected and is not getting treated. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's a damn good way to get an attachment using a Ouija board or just communicating to me, I think it's silly to just communicate, period. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm a real big believer in mindset, and I believe that if again, if you, similar to what you're saying, if you believe that something will come out of it, then yes, something can come out of it, because if a lot of it is up here. I'm a big believer in psychokinesis, projection of energy. Let's just say they're all adolescent girls. Okay, so there's double-edged sword with this. We know that when kids go through, especially females, go through a change of life, being puberty, or for women, even menopause, they start projecting like crazy. So do kids, right? So that being the case, how much of it is projection, and is it a mindset that is kind of like that tulpa thing, just
yes, and
the projection of creating something. I know with boards,
yes,
intention, again, suggestion. Okay, exactly.
yes,
That people don't realize, if you don't clear your mind, and let's say there is something over there, it's always going to know the answer because it's coming out of here. But even if there's not something there, you can project that energy to move things around. I've watched people do it. I've experimented with it and done it.
yeah.
And I know there's nothing there moving. There's nothing there to move this. I've been able to do it through projection.
Them saying she spoke in a different language. Well, let me remind everybody, Annalise Michel had taken Latin and was speaking Latin when she was being exorcised, and we know that she was possessed. We do know that. But then they took it in court and said, well, did she not go to Latin school? She wanted to be a nun. Like, would she not have? Yes, she did. So it's not something that you can take at face value. You can't just look at it and say, this is real, that's wrong, this isn't true. Every case, the way Michelle prepares when she's working with someone, everybody has to be interviewed. You can't just look at it. And when I say mass hysteria, is if they're in a spiritual school, they already have a sense of fear and foreboding for what they have done, because this is something that is a deep, deep no-no in any religion, the communication, period. That could play with their mind. And then, who knows what, the energy of the room, who you're with. We don't know what any of these other people are doing in their own homes. We don't know enough about the people that were in these groups that were doing this to be able to make an assessment or title it. I feel like it would have to be each and every person.
I think Tamara's talking about the skull experiment. I think.
Oh, there is an experiment that happened in Toronto. Well, approximately,
I think that's the skull experiment, and then we had the Philip experiment in the UK, and that's exactly what it is. It's, again, you look at the Slender Man phenomenon. It's the same idea. It's a tulpa.
No, there was another murder now because of that. There was another one attempted. They actually killed the young girl. They actually killed the young girl. The two girls. It's I think it was in New Zealand. Wow. They actually killed the little girl. Okay. They stabbed her several times.
Philip experiment, Toronto. So I got it.
Yeah, Philip.
Okay,
Philip,
there we
like
go.
the screwdriver.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. That one's a hard one for me. I would have to take it like any case and bit by bit and really understand. Any of these girls that were playing with this, did they play with them before? Do they experiment in the occult? Just because they're in a spiritual school doesn't mean anything. It would be even more challenging and more fun for the darkness to play with them. What their home life is like. And then again, I look at Salem and I think about the witch trials and the hysteria that was created there. And they thought because they were looked at by these women who were not, we all know they weren't witches. They reacted and said that, and violently and physically. So everything weighs here. It's not a level surface. Like I don't, it's frustrating. It's horrifying. As a parent, I'd be horrified. I'd watch it in psychiatric care.
But I mean, anxiety, I mean, I look at all the people that I've worked with throughout the last many years who have thought that something was going on in the home. Doesn't that always mean that something was going on in the home? But even through projecting energy, you don't realize we're powerful as human beings, and projecting can cause doors to open and close, footsteps, cupboard doors, like the whole poltergeist, stacking things. Like, my gosh, some of the things that I hear, I'm just like, what is going on? And you go in there and there's nothing. So but just by working where I would work with the people one-on-one, sometimes it would take months of just reconditioning the mindset. And next thing you know, everything just stops. And sometimes it's enough that somebody just doesn't feel alone. And they have someone to talk to about it. And next thing you know, everything just stops. Sometimes it's just as quick as it began.
There's so many factors. You can't just say, yeah, it's the Ouija board. It's an easy way out.
Yeah.
And again, and then if we talk about the collectiveness, like we did a couple weeks ago, we're talking about collective energy. If you have collectively fearful teenage girls in a room, I can tell you that's going to be bouncing stuff all over the place.
God, yes.
So there's just too much to be able to just surface read that. That's definite, especially in groups. And I have to say to you, I don't know him, but I wouldn't trust him unless I had a conversation with him.
Right.
I'd like to know how and why he sits where he does. And he's not the first NYPD to go exorcist.
Right. Well, it also makes you wonder, though, because, people in that field are going to see all kinds of things. Look at Elliot Van Dusen, RCMP, and he sees all these experiences. He's written books on it, and but he's really on the parapsychology side of things, too. So there's that scientific element as well. But I think people just really, you just experience things. I'm not in a field like that. And the things that I've seen, even before getting into the field, it's like, oh my God, there's something out there.
This retired officer is coming in on the heels of Ralph Sarchi's story. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's not happening. I'm just saying, and Ralph Sarchi's a friend on Facebook. I'm not saying anything, but that was a big story. Deliver Us from Evil. Him working with Malachi Martin. Like, we're talking big, heavy hitters here. Ralph is not something that passes in the wind. He is a big, heavy hitter. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, I would, as a person who worked in crime for years, and believe me, when I say I apply that to the way I read, because I have to tear everything apart in order to put it back together. And I would start with him.
That's probably the best way to do it, because with television, with so many shows out there and so much things happening, hey, Alex, let's face it, everything is not. Oh, that's right. Steve. Hey, Alex, that's what I was saying.
I was like, wait, how did she get that up there so fast?
Is the computer now a talkie-talkie somewhere?
Siri, stand down, Siri.
I know. There's things that you see that simply is just not the way it is. I only use myself as an example. You've heard me say it 100 times. I'm on television, and I have to give a shout out to the people today who lassoed Wayne at the Manor. Who basically remembered seeing him from an episode, I believe, of Paranormal Survivor in season 3. And they were on and on and on about, oh my God, the redhead, you're so smart, blah, blah, blah. I love watching. And he goes, oh, I'll check out their show. They have it. So I will. So big shout out to you, you and your wife, if you're listening. But it's not always what it seems. I could be questioned. I sit there for hours, and I'm given question after question after question. I'm in the hot seat going, and I give several answers to one question, and they always lean to the same reply, which is demon. Demon. Because
run, Forrest.
It's what sells. Right? It's what sells. But you become stereotyped over things like that. So I always like to make sure that people know, no, I don't run around the whole freaking planet screaming demon all the time. That's not
No.
at all. I'm probably one of the most logical people I know. I start going, what? You probably hear me scream psychokinesis just as much as that.
You'll hear her say PK more than you'll hear her say anything.
You will.
But Michelle's always right. So. No, you are. You have the experience. You're right. When you call PK, it's always PK. It never isn't. It always is. I've worked with you for 4 years. I think I know.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, it's logical for me. It's just it's also, I'm not a religious person. And there's a lot of different mixed feelings about that. Demons are very much a religious thing with some cultures. They all have different names. And I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that, I think the word gets tossed around way too much. But
especially
ratings.
Yeah, and Buddhists don't even believe in demons. So, you have to.
And the Christians, the diehard, the Christians believe that everything is a demon.
Yes.
Right.
Including us.
That's right. Psychokinesis. Yep, said that.
They believe we're demonic for what we do. Even though we're the ones who are helping you. So I'm just letting you know. It took
your soul. Yeah. No, it could be a lot of things. It could also be, elementals. Earth spirits can be really bloody hell aggressive. There's a lot of interdimensional beings out there, interterrestrial, all kinds of things that we have no clue that we share space with. We have no clue, who they are, what they are, where they necessarily reside. That can cause all kinds of things to happen. It is not always what people go to the first, So I just want to put that out there because I get a lot of questions about it. And again, it's exactly it, right? To what Tamara's saying. So,
yes, Tamara says there is always a factor, emotional, environmental, religious beliefs, etc. So you need to look at everything. That's the same with, especially with those girls and that reaction.
Exactly. So things are not always as it seems. Sometimes there's something more logical, and I like to go to the logical first. But I also have, really strong mediumship abilities that I've always used. It tells me when I go in there what I'm sensing. Do you know 100% what it is? I'm pretty damn sure now. I've got a good clue as to what it is. And, I can't go in there and just start going, demon,
No. And sometimes it doesn't look like it. And when you tap in, you're like, oh, you little bugger.
There it is.
They can hide too. So we're not saying it's never that, because sometimes they can hide, and especially shadows. I mean, in the seam of a wall, they're gone. And it's really hard to catch them. You have to really work on your senses.
We probably see more of them, don't we, than anything
lots
else?
Lots of them. But it's also, for me, I get the goosebumps and I know I'm being watched, and I'm just like slowly, and I catch it from my peripheral, and it's like
corner of your eye. Yeah.
I don't like it when they're coming at me with their heads cocked. I can tell you that. I don't like that. And the first thing I say to Michelle is, damn, head's cocked. Seriously, because then I'm looking for the color eyes, because then I know it's not a shadow.
Yeah, see, there you go. So there's just things out there that television is just that. It's television. This is why I always say, I think if I filmed anything now, it would continue to be documentaries or something just very more of a serious production, because there is a lot out of there. It's very, everything's got a formula, and you'll find shows will follow along with their formulas if you really watch. I just feel as though you can only do and watch so much of it. It's one of the reasons that I really slow down. There's some paranormal shows that I do like to watch, like I said, I loved Destination Fear. There's some that I watch for different reasons, but on an average, it's just, like Chris said, it, TV is entertainment.
Absolutely. And it's not to belittle the stories of the folks that are going through these traumatic experiences.
Not at all.
We want to make sure
They
that
are
they're
out there.
always honored
Yeah.
and treated respectfully, because when you're telling your story, and it takes a lot of courage to tell your story, you've got people that you work with watching you, your family, your friends, you can lose relationships over telling your
true.
story. And what you have to remember is that someone watching possibly going through the same thing and knows they're not crazy. So that price that
That's the big
you pay
one.
sometimes, it comes back in such a beautiful way. When I hear people say, I saw this show and this happened to that family, and Amelia, this happened to me. Can you and Michelle help me? I'm like, yeah, like, of course, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for the families that do take that jump, because that is courageous.
That's a big thing. A lot of the people that I've worked with over the many years, especially over the last, probably within the last few years of filming, especially, a lot of those stories came from, like my files from years and years ago, and current right up until when you came on board and worked with us. And then so I think that's
the one I did was your files too.
I think I filled season 5 of Survivor, but this is something that the people would ask me, or would say, look, if something comes up, we'd like to tell our story, because they felt it was their way of giving something back. Because I've never charged money. We don't charge money, but people feel they want to somehow pay it forward. I always say, oh, well, go do a good deed for someone, but again, they're like, we want to tell our story. It's our way of giving back, and hopefully someone else who sees our story may see themselves in the same situation, because we've been able to bring it forward. You would be surprised how many times I've been told that.
Zach, great.
Thanks, Zach, man.
We love you, Zach. I would pay to see a documentary featuring you ladies. Heck, if I won the lottery, I would finance it.
Thanks. We'll let you know. The last time I was asked to bloody design a show, I was asked to do a show, and they said, what if you could do any show, what would it be? And I gave them a whole layout. I gave them 2 versions. Yeah, 2 versions. And they were producers from Netflix. And amazing to me how a very close and slightly tweaked version showed up with another popular para-celebrity stateside. I just laughed. I said, well, I'm glad the story got out there. But it goes to show you how starved people are for something new, to the point where they'll
that was just before lockdown.
It.
That was an angry bird. I was dealing with an angry bird when that came out. Did you see blah blah blah? Yeah, that's my show. I'm like, oh,
I know. I was just like, yeah, a lot.
I remember Michelle talking about it, and I never watched it. And then I watched it. I went, SOB, it is your show.
It's true. They'll take it.
It's
they'll
really
steal
sad.
it.
But I'm not going to say anything because it is a big name. But
I don't put it out there. It's just, they asked me to create it. I created it, and the producers were just like, they were still shocked too. It was like, but it's like, it is what it is. But this is why, like, this head is full of amazing ideas, because I've got 20 years behind me, and I consult on a lot of shows besides that. So people will come up to me and just, well, what would be your idea? What would you think about this? How would you consult? I'm happy to give my ideas. I've seen a lot of things that I've said come into fruition with the intentions of helping someone else, right? So just putting it out there. So we're going to come in. Hold on. Okay, we're just going to go out a couple questions, then we'll get into the next part of the show. We'll do an early station ID, and then we'll move on to some more advertising and more stories.
Are we answering this one and then?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to come down and answer a couple. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Wayne says, so do you think the shadow people are time travelers, the watchers, or interdimensional beings?
All of the above. There's a big theory that they are time travelers, watchers most certainly, interdimensional most certainly.
And Chris has their own answer to that as well.
I think they're on the earth plane with us, but they vibrate on different levels. Yeah, well, we sit in, when I think of dimensions, I mean, we have like layers, just all within layers. I believe they're dimensional. I believe some of them are here. Absolutely. I say all of the above only because of the fact that they're not all bound here. There's a lot that come from everywhere. There really are. Any of the research that I've done has always led to a whole mix of things. I have learned to just take a step back, and what will be will be. Like layers of an onion, like Shrek. Yeah, that's right. Layers of an onion. Yeah, exactly. Okay,
That
so what I
gets
like to
used a
do
lot.
is give an early station ID, and
Sure.
then we're going to do a big shout out, and then we're going to talk about your TikTok stuff.
Okay. So you want me to go first?
Sure, I want you to do the station ID.
Yes.
Folgers.
Okay.
Like Tamara's
No, I
ready to
heard.
go.
I
She's like,
heard, and then
Amelia,
we're
what's up
gonna
with you,
do
man?
some shout out, and I went.
I'm
"Oh,
ready at
wait,
10:10.
I can't see you because I have my other screen on." Okay. Thank you all for joining us tonight. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM radio. Tonight, we are discussing all things paranormal in the news, and Michelle's got one heck of a lineup. If you miss it, don't worry. You can stream or listen to our archives on the platform you normally use. A huge shout out, big thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show. We are so happy. We love you. We thank you for continuing to support us. Thank you so much. And we're so thrilled that you do watch the show. That makes us super, super happy. And also a shout out and thank you for our intro and outro to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp, and find him on Facebook and Instagram. And you know where I am taking you from here. If you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, please give us a like and subscribe to us and share. Thank you, Tamara, and share. See, Alex, great. Now I'm craving a coffee. You have to go night-night soon, so unless you can handle it.
Make a coffee. This is not a burrito.
No, don't say the word burrito. Everybody's closed right now.
I know.
Yes.
I know. Tamara, look at the header. I capitalized the word share just for you.
Well, without her, we keep forgetting to say it.
Yeah.
Share
Okay.
us. If you're on Facebook, invite your friends to come like us as well. We know there's 3 million of you out there listening, so
I know.
let's see it on the
There
Facebook.
we go. Watch this.
Yeah. Then make yourself a Folgers, Alex. Alex said he can handle the coffee. Okay.
Yeah.
Just take us with you on your ear.
That's it. So, okay. Now we've got a little bit more paranormal in the news, but something that is up and coming. And I'm going to put it right here. Bam. Okay. The Halifax Paranormal Symposium. And there's the website. I believe tickets went on sale, like literally, they're coming on sale April 1st, or they've been on sale for a few days. I don't know. So I do apologize for that, because I should know that. But let me get ready. I'm going to make up for it right now. You go to the website and you're going to see all this fantastic stuff. There we go.
Nice.
So, Saturday, October 7th, 2023, 9 to 6 p.m., 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. This is where you go get your tickets. And this is going to be really cool, because there's some like amazing guests coming up. And I'm going to show that banner in a moment.
We should read that website for those that are not watching.
Yeah.
Okay. ppri.net/tickets. Again, PP, like Paul, PP, R as in Robert, I.net/tickets.
Yes. And then the one underneath, again, is...
Oh, that's nice. Sorry, I just saw Bradley Monks wrote, "We will be there as vendors."
That's
Good
right.
for him. Website for
Yes.
Halifax Paranormal Symposium at the bottom, ppri.net/Halifax-paranormal-symposium. Yeah, don't put that up. He spelt it wrong. I looked at it and I went, "Oh no."
Oh my
That'd be
gosh.
about where it'd be coming out if you started early, like right now, to eat that. Oh, that's
There
terrible.
we go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wish I could make it. I've just got so much stuff coming up. But
I
let
think
me
that's
get another
Thanksgiving weekend too,
sandwich.
isn't it? Is it
Hold
not?
on. I'm not quite sure. 1 second. I can't think that far ahead. Here we go. Bam! Lineup
Wow,
so
I
far.
love
Now,
these promos. So
Chris
nice.
Style has been on the show 2 or 3 times, actually. Chris is like
Yes,
awesome.
love Chris.
We've got Kim Moser, Lauren Coleman, Richard Gallagher, Daryl Walsh. So there we go, right off the bat. That's a really great lineup for a day of headliners, to say the least. So
Yep.
definitely go, and if you can, check them out. If it's something that you guys can do, I know Bradley has that right, and I
Halifax is
wish I
a
could. I might just be able to, but I can't
Yeah,
say.
Halifax is one of the most beautiful parts of our country.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I absolutely believe the same
And it
darn thing.
wasn't far from there where the Titanic sank.
That's
It
right.
was the great people of Halifax who took the bodies in, they buried the unknown, and they also helped those survivors. They were the ones who cared for them.
Yes.
So remember that when you're thinking, where's Halifax, and you're not from Canada, just think of the Titanic.
Think of the Titanic.
They played a huge historical.
They did.
They did. They were so helpful. They're
There we
great
go.
people, and even after 9/11, they took planes in and they went home, cooked meals for these people. They're just incredible. We're so proud to say they are Canadian. That we should all aspire to be just like them. Great people.
There we go. So PPRI, Paranormal Phenomena Research and Investigation, if you're wondering what the PPRI is from.
It is
And yes.
Nova
Yes,
Scotia. Yes.
absolutely. Now, Elliot Van Dusen, who's been on the show 3 times, I believe, as well, 2 or 3 times. Hard to believe we've been at this now for going on 4 years, so this is pretty cool. Hard to remember how many. We have some people we call frequent flyer guests. Elliot's one of them, and he's coming on April 26th to talk in greater detail about the symposium and what you guys can expect. So we'll flash this up again in a little while, and we'll make sure that we get the banners across so you can find them. They have a Facebook page, also an event page that you can go to and you can ask questions. They're very interactive. Elliot stays right on top of everything. So if you guys have questions in the meantime, just go check them out. We'll bring this back in a little while. So here we go. Bradley, of course.
I'm going to eat at the Five Fishermen's restaurant, which was the morgue for the Titanic victims.
And said to be very
bring
haunted.
your recorder.
Yeah, said to be very haunted
Very
as well.
haunted. Yeah.
That's right. Here we go, Tamara.
Tamara says the buildings in Halifax
There
where
we
they house
go.
the Titanic bodies are not haunted. All of them, yeah. So are the grounds where they were buried, because there are still so many that are unnamed.
Right. That's true. That's
I
true.
think the last one they found a name for was actually last year. It was after everything opened up. And I believe it was through a genealogical thing that they found.
Right.
This family member had been there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, TikTok time.
Oh,
Amelia's our TikTok queen on the Outer Realms.
Well, I don't know for how long, because most of you creators are getting the boot, I was told. I want to just give some tips, because I know that a lot of us, I watch TikTok for the grandmas and watch them how to make pasta. Some people watch TikTok for the paranormal, and of course I follow Bishop James, so that's how I know about the paranormal TikToks.
And he's been on the show a couple of times as well.
Yes. And he does his show on there too, as well, on Fridays. He has Paranormal Fridays. I've been seeing a lot of crying babies and demonic voices in clips, a lot of objects in mirrors, and videos overnight to show what has moved and what hasn't moved. Those should be screaming setup. and fake when you're watching this. When it says to you, watch it till the end, it's because they don't actually get you as a view unless you've watched to the end of the clip. Don't fall for that, because if somebody has something to show you, they will show you within the first 10 seconds. They're not going to wait to the last minute. And when you see somebody spanning a camera, 1 minute there's a person in a chair, and next minute there isn't. Well, anybody can duck right under where I'm holding my phone and not be in the lens view. We need to remember this kind of stuff. Background music. If you make the time to click background music, chances are you put that figure in that mirror. And someone going to bed, and instantly there's something up on the FLIR camera. Are you kidding me? Okay. It just, please be careful with the length of the clips. Remember, they get paid for views, and you're supporting this. Please don't get pulled in to the fakeness, because they need people like us to watch and continue sharing so that they can continue making money. Some very few are real. And how you can watch a clip that's real, if you're that interested, is by following somebody with integrity who does investigations, because they will duet these video clips. I'm just concerned about young kids, because anybody can go on it. They say, oh, we have it 18 and under. We only allow an hour. Well, an hour is a lot of time. That's 60 video clips or more, an hour. And a lot of people lie to get on an app about their age. I'm worried about the encouragement of having people who don't know what they're doing try to do what these people are doing and actually pick up on something real. I'm concerned about that, because these people, what they're first and foremost doing is investigating their own homes. And we know how that works out, right? We have an incredibly intelligent audience with a lot of experience. And we know, I would really love you to share that with the younger ones in your life. Please find out if they're on these, because chances are, if they're into you and they love what you're doing, they'll probably look for different videos to share with you, to be a part of the conversation with you. And that would be where they're finding them. So
they definitely do watch it. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's more of I'm being a mom here. The spanning really bothers me, because they show things and people believe that there was a vision there. 9 out of 10 times, a ghostly vision is not solid black. So a child will see it as real and think, hey, if I go film that room that makes me feel kind of creepy and uncomfortable, maybe I can catch it too.
Intention.
Yes.
Right.
Then next thing you know, you're manifesting the damn thing. So.
Well, kids are very impressionable, and they have a type of energy, like what we were talking about earlier, especially if they're going through puberty, things like that. But again, with kids, they're very wide open. They're little mini psychics.
Yep.
And they watch all kinds of paranormal television. I know, because I I partook in with a colleague way back when, where a kid show that came out. I know Canada's Most Haunted had a kid show. I know I have kids who come up to me when I'm out and say, oh, I saw you on Paranormal Survivor. I'm like, what are you doing watching that? What are you, 6?
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
It can be. I mean, some people are really laid back about what their kids do. And I always go back to that young lady that I met when I was like, when we used to do writers conventions, things like that. So, for the books. And somebody asked me if I would speak to a little girl and her father. And he was a single father. He was away a lot. And the little girl got to watching all kinds of paranormal television and asked for certain equipment. She was, I think, 11, and he bought her whatever she asked for, because he was away, compensating.
Guilt purchases, yeah.
Yep. And over time, what had happened over the course of about 6 months is things started going on in the house. Doors were opening and closing. They were hearing voices, footsteps. And he shrugged it off as, oh, she's just goofing around. And she didn't seem concerned about it. But, the person who asked me to talk to them because out of concern, they came over, I guess, to sort of indulge the other individual, but they didn't seem at all worried. And I often wonder just how bad it got because this little girl was left to her own devices.
That's sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So,
very sad. I worry about TikTok as well because wherever you get views for money, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, I'm not sure how it works. I think it has to be that so many followers. You know that people are going to be putting out whatever they can to get paid, to get the views, to get the likes, to get the follows. And it could be dangerous for a lot of people, not just children, but if you're in a bad place or you've lost a loved one or you're suffering from depression or, any type of mental disorder, it could play with you in a serious way. And it's just not fair. I just want everybody to be aware of it. If you're watching it with a laugh in mind, personally, I can't watch them because I can't watch anything that's fake. It drives me crazy. It's just me. It's like I'm not a person who reads fiction either. I'm just that person. But if you're watching it for entertainment, you think it's funny and you like to sit there and figure out how to debunk it. I mean, there are clear signs. When there's a bike going, you can actually see the fishing wire. You'd be surprised when you put it on a regular computer screen or on your television, how quickly you see it that you don't see on your phone. So just be careful. Watch it with the right frame of mind that this is fake. It's not real. Maybe 1 out of 100 of those videos are real.
And because there's a lot of teams that will put out
they put out some really good footage and they still don't have evidence the way these other people are putting out all kinds of evidence and getting their children involved, which is really sad. So think about when you're faking this, okay, and you're putting it on film and you're faking this, are you in actual fact inviting something in?
Well, again, you're looking at intention. I mean, there's some people who don't believe that you can watch certain television shows and bring something in. I remember watching something, they were doing exorcisms on television. They were speaking in Latin. And it was just a TV show. And they were going a full exorcist, the girls bouncing all over the table, and they're going on. And something came in the house. And I'm just like, and I know what I'm doing, but it's not what you expect. So I'm doing like energy reversals. Back in the TV, bastard. Just like really put out by the, but again,
it's crazy.
It can happen. And this is why a lot of researchers, when you're listening to certain types of EVPs, and for those who don't know, it's electronic voice phenomena. It's picking up disembodied sounds or disembodied voices. Doesn't always mean they're spirits. Doesn't always mean anything like that. It just means, I get tons of phantom sounds. I really get right into that. I love phantom noises. But again, most researchers will just say, you know what? There can be a bleed through. So you listen to it with headphones. Because especially if you're just not sure, you just take the extra precaution to be safe. The same thing applies. So, I think everything has to be taken with somewhat of a degree of precaution, because whether something comes in or whether you're projecting it, let me tell you something. You watch, there's so many films out there, and I know adults who get scared watching them. And you're watching something, go to bed at night, your wheels start turning, and it's not hard. It's not hard to start projecting energy. And the next thing you know, you've got yourself a little problem. It's you. But the fact is, you're still doing it.
It is. You got to be really careful.
That's
all. I sound like a mother. I sound like a mother hen, but I watched this. I spent some time on it this morning, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm watching some of these things, and we just have to know the difference between real and fake, and don't get caught up in the video that you have to watch it to the end. That should be a dead giveaway as soon as you watch it, because anybody who's dying to share some actual evidence is not going to make you wait 58 seconds out of 60 to watch it. That's all I'm telling you. They're going to want to share it, and it'll
Right.
go viral. They won't need a full minute to hang you there so that they can get the viewership on TikTok.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that's it. That's my beef. The spanning thing drives me crazy. When they catch something and someone gets scared and they're like, "Oh my God, like there's this person in that room. Did you catch it? Really?" Because it looked like one of the dudes that we're investigating with them just sitting on the chair. And then go back and it's gone. Well, no kidding. Can you pan over to that right corner? I'd like to see your right corner, please. No.
Right. Right.
So
It's sort of, it gets into also the fact that we're coming into spring and we're getting into more paranormal events. I think we talked about Waverly Hills. I'm just thrilled to give them a plug. I'm really happy for them that everything is resolved. So again, big congratulations to them for that win. But there are ghost tours all over the world. Some of them go year round. Some of them are obviously, they become more popular in the spring, summer, and fall. And again, you're getting into that point where how many people go in unprepared. You do have researchers who get into it. You have enthusiasts who figure, oh, you know what? It's good to be around like-minded people who experienced, or people who, think the same way you do. But there are people who just, they don't even give you any inkling as to what you're supposed to do when you're there. Well, walking ghost tour is kind of cool. You can just sort of listen to what's going on, listen to the history. I'm not much into the real theatrical ghost tours. Like I really like a more historical based ghost tour. My daughter went on one in New Orleans, and what I thought was really interesting was she was told about a location, an old hotel, and people spent the night in this one room that was supposed to be really haunted, and they got up the next morning and like, oh, nothing happened. They're all disgruntled, like, just wasted all this time and money. And, and when they went home, I guess it was probably about a month later, they went through their photos and their camera. It's like a big camera. And there was a picture of them sleeping in bed that was taken from the ceiling. I'm like,
oh God.
Yeah. So boy, oh boy, there's
Nobody
$1
got
million
up.
picture right from the ceiling.
Oof. It's like, hey, we're here. Haha.
I know. We're just doing it a little bit more quiet. Night, Alex. Thanks for coming and joining us.
Alex.
But so you're going to be getting into some of that, and don't use the basis necessarily of what you see on television for how you should investigate. A lot of places will actually teach you or give you a little bit of a crash course. I used to do it. I used to give a crash course into how to use your equipment, what equipment was for, the do's and the don'ts, just to give people an idea of what they could do while on the tour. And I think that's a pretty cool way of doing it. And I know there are some locations that will do that as well. Which brings me, I guess, back to back into the. I don't know. I hate to say.
At the guys in chat. They're talking amongst themselves. Sorry, I'm not even going to read that.
Yeah, the whole party's in the chat room right now.
And we see all of them, so we're seeing every comment, and it's really cute.
Yeah. So, do you think that locations in general should show more due diligence? And I say due diligence, I don't mean that disrespectfully. A lot of people end up leaving there and bringing something home, which comes to don't bring things home from the haunted location.
Well, I own a lot of pieces from Waverly. Waverly, what I forgot to mention earlier when you were just talking about it right now, and I'm so happy for them as well. There are cemeteries there's graves there.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been a huge mistake to pull that out, and they would have moved those bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. So I'm that's another reason to just be happy that they won.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that you should bring things home, but you need to ask Michelle that.
What? I have stuff. I am a collector of. You've heard me talk about when we've talked to people on the show about stone, things like that, and I do bring back stone and soil from different parts of the world where I've been. I do have some from the haunted forest in Romania. I know. I've got stuff from everywhere. Right. Haunted castles and things throughout different parts of the world that I've been to. And I don't have any issues with this stuff. However, I know people who also have had or been gifted with, my Chiquitas who were with me, people that we know say, "Oh, bring me back some soil from that place." Okay, fine, put them in little vials, give it to them. Here you
That's
go.
why I don't tell anybody where I'm going.
Exactly. But, we've given it away, and some people have no problems. Other people's had detrimental issues.
Mm.
So, again, it makes you wonder, what's the difference? It comes from the same place. Why does it affect some people, and why doesn't it affect other people?
Be careful. I don't know. That's a really good question. You have to be really careful. I know. I know my mom always said to me, whatever, because I have a tendency to reach for beach sand when I'm somewhere, and I stopped because it was ridiculous how many bottles, because everybody went anywhere. And then I know my brother started a collection of something as silly as shot glasses, but you get to the point where the collection becomes enormous and you can't, Anyways, my mother used to say to me, because I remember when we went to the church where her and my dad were married and grew up, that church is old. It's old. I wanted to take rocks from the outside, and my mother's like, no. And she stopped me, made me put it back. She goes, you never take anything from a sacred place. And that stayed with me. And I have friends that I know that took stones from a church that their family's from in Italy, and we're told that if they just put it between red rock from Arizona, that this would be safe. And if you're listening, my darling, I'm sorry, I've always disagreed with that, even back then when she told you that it was okay to do that. I have a thing about moving sacred space. I don't think it's up to me. So that's just me. If you can live with it, that's fine. And if it doesn't bother you, that's fine. But me personally, I have a feeling.
Do churches.
Pardon?
I don't do churches in any way, shape, or form. So
no, but a lot of people will take like boulders, the rocks, because these churches are so ancient. They were built with large stones, like small boulders. And my gosh, that's, to me, even without saying Catholic, sacrilegious. Like my mother's like, you never touch anything from a sacred space because this is consecrated ground. This is it's different in Europe, right? Than here.
Let me pose this question to you then. Sacred space, because of the church, consecrated ground. What about places like indigenous land?
Never touch it.
But most of this land was indigenous, at one time, and everything was sacred to them. They held the earth sacred, the forest, the trees, the water. Isn't it all sacred? People are digging it up and building.
I give back to my area, like my piece of land. This my tiny piece of land I live on. I give back to it, and I've asked indigenous people how to do that. I've had a spiritual chief that I've communicated with here. And I even have, I've told you, I have a sign that's painted that says, thank you for giving me this space while I'm here.
Right.
I believe that stuff like that, you just don't touch. It's just me. There's got to be something. And my niece, of course, she's probably going to have nightmares now. Jessica, I have nightmares.
Yeah.
You just don't touch them. Just
Right.
like I would never take something from a haunted location. Right.
Right.
But although I do have it, because I bought
Yeah,
it,
I'm not bothered by haunted things.
I
Yeah.
bought it. No, I
Yeah.
think sometimes if you're not careful, we
Mhm.
can clear energies from objects.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a client that all I did was go antique shopping with her, literally just to touch and feel different pieces of furniture.
Mhm.
And I got paid just to hang out with her that way. I'm saying we can clear, but if you can't,
Mhm.
maybe you should think about getting something cleared before you bring it into your home or
Mhm.
touching it,
Mhm.
and be aware of what you're touching. Are you taking something that maybe had blood on it before?
Mhm.
That's a big one.
It's not even
You
just
know?
that. Sometimes if you're taking, like, let's look at a piece of jewelry for an example, because the minerals and such can retain the energy. So let's say you have somebody who is like really sick, and I know because I've worked with people. I'm only relaying stories from people that I have helped throughout the years. Okay,
Yeah.
where sometimes it comes from an object, and
Mm-hmm.
one was an elderly woman. She was really sick. I think it was cancer actually, and her ring, I guess, got sold at an antique market through an estate sale. And the woman who owned it started getting really sick. Like she didn't have cancer, but she was exhibiting a lot of the symptoms, like the throwing up and the headaches and the pain, and um, nobody even thought to say, "Hey, this is a situation." So I was contacted and said, "On the by and by, is this a thing?" And I said, "Absolutely. It's just a transfer of energy from this into the item, and if you're
Yeah.
wearing it, you're made up of energy. So it just sort of and removed, the item. She didn't want to keep it, so I said, well, we can clear that or just go back, donate it, just do something with it. She chose to just bury it. She just wrapped it in cloth and she just wanted to
She found it. Yeah.
she wanted to
Yeah.
she didn't want to take a chance on anyone else ever having
Well,
that problem.
the Warrens created an entire museum. So did John Zaffis, based on products that on
Zach
items
Bagans.
that people couldn't handle.
Full circle back to Zach Bagans.
Zach's been buying them out, and he buys
Yeah.
really, really big pieces with stories
Yeah.
on them. But I mean, John
Sure.
Zaffis was helping people and containing them the way
Mhm.
his uncle did. So that's, again, it goes back to knowing what you're dealing with. I just feel when it's something like a holy ground or something where there was massive injury, like let's say Gettysburg, things like that, Pearl Harbor, I don't want to interfere
Mhm.
I don't want to create a ripple. I want to
Right.
respect it and walk
Right.
away. That's what I
Right.
mean by don't take anything from there.
Right.
Then there's places like, for me, Waverly. I have items from Waverly. Why did I buy them at auction? Because I feel an attachment to them. I feel
Mhm.
like somehow I had them in my hands. So it's coming back to me, kind of thing.
Right.
But it's
Right.
nothing personal. I don't have anything that was personal. It's building
Right.
related, medical related.
Right.
You have to be careful. I think if you can handle it, again, say it again, and you can clear it, by all means. I used to
Mhm.
do it for this lady so she could have the antique furniture that she loved. She was a very open person and she was sensitive and could pick up on everything. I'd go over there and clear furniture and help spirits move on. And
Mhm.
even a pair of white gold earrings, which she ended up tossing down the garbage chute, because even though they were cleared, she goes, I want nothing to do with them. I'm like,
Mhm.
ugh, this has got a heavy story to it. Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, that one's tough. I don't
Yeah.
know. For me, churches, I get really upset when people take from churches. I feel like you're breaking up the energy that is holding it together,
Right. Right.
Can you imagine somebody going to the manor and taking like a piece of brick or carving off something?
Oh, I'm sure it's been done. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
been done.
So that's stupid on their part. But
Yeah, well, some locations are just not meant to do that with, I think you have to factor in that you take a chance whenever you do things like that. Some people have no issues with it. Other people, they don't do really well. I mean, look at years ago when you and I worked with a woman who brought something back. It may have been Waverly, or it may have been one of the other ones. Could have
I
one of the
don't
other
even
ones.
remember who we worked on last week, but yeah.
We had a woman who had and I don't want to give too much information because we don't do that, but she had a heart condition, and she came back with an
Yes.
item from a location. She had it for 10 years.
I think it was Waverly.
Yeah, she sent it
I
back.
think it was.
She sent it back, and we assisted her, and then the heart issue was gone. So it goes to show you that anything can happen. Anything can happen. But it's a matter of just being cautious. You really have to be cautious. So when
Yeah.
you're out there and you're getting into ghost tour season and you're going into haunted locations, whether you're an investigator or an enthusiast, just, do so, put your mind right. Go through grounding techniques or go through whatever it is that makes you feel safe or protected. Just know that, if your mindset isn't correct or if it's not right, you could find yourself in a bit of a jam.
Let me give you also one more reason not to take something. When you go as an investigator and you see dolls and toys on the ground of a building that you're investigating, do not take those items home with you.
No.
Okay? They're left there for a reason.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you something will come home with you if you take that.
Right.
You'll see people post, took this out of this building or that building, and it's a doll that somebody left there for a child spirit who's not crossing. And it's like, what are you doing? Why are you there?
Right.
That would be like taking a doll from a child who's right in front of you. It's
That's
no
right.
different.
That's right.
Don't do that. You can unleash something really, really pissed off with that.
Yeah, people are not really like that at all. So we're just going to get into just a couple of things here. 1 minute. I'm going to go in. As you see, we've got share the screen only because people ask me all the time, literally all the time. Here it is, guys.
Yes.
Okay, there it is. Roku, UFO Paranormal United Public Radio. This is our Roku network channel. Okay, so it does exist. It is there, and people can watch it from, again, the comfort of your own room, your own living room, whatever the case may be. There it is. So feel free, check it out, and that's just one more way that the network is growing. And we're going to come back over here. I want to make sure we just get everybody looked at again. Bam, share. There it is. So paranormal phenomena research investigation, heads up, tickets, I believe, are on sale. So you can go and check them out. So that's the Paranormal Symposium at the Halifax Tower Hotel and Conference Center, Saturday, October the 7th, 2023, from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. And, okay, doing it again, you get for your money, you're going to get right here. Here it comes. This right here. This lineup excites the heck out of me.
What a
It
great
really
banner.
does. It's just like, wow.
They did a great job advertising. It looks beautiful.
Yep. Perfect. So good on you, Elliot. Perfect. So check them out. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out here on their website. You can go read up on it. They're very interactive. They will answer all your questions. I believe they're taking vendors, so that's going to open up. The vendor tables are going to start opening up soon if they already haven't. So if it's something you're interested in doing it, this is pretty exclusive. So, go and again, check them out. So that is that. Stop screen. We're back up. And lastly, bam. All right, we're going to present the last one.
That time of year gives me anxiety.
It is this time of the year. And 1 minute, here we go. Bam. Podcast Awards, People's Choice. Go in and vote. Right now, I believe it's open. I think you'll only have a certain amount of time to do so. But I mean, you've got a little bit of time, but you're going to be seeing a lot of things coming up on the network. You're going to be seeing small ads playing across. It will give you an idea of the other shows that are going to be up here as well. I believe there's the Writers of the Future is up again with John Emily Goodwin. There's Joe Montaldo. I just don't know which one of Joe's shows it is. I think it might be News on the Flip Side, but Joe's got a few shows. So this is a lot of stuff that's going to start surfacing as we move forward. But yours truly ×2, we're up there, right? Best female podcast. So do it. I did post the links right here.
He did, yeah.
Just go to podcastawards.com.
Podcastawards.com.
Right
Yeah.
I know. Post the link. Just podcastawards.com. Yeah. We're going to start posting that a lot more. We're going to have things on social media as well. So you guys can definitely check it out. And okay, right here, Joe, if you're watching, Tamara got her books. Finally. It's been an ordeal bringing anything up from the States, I think.
My gosh. I'm not even sure if Mr. White got my chocolate yet.
It's impossible.
I'm like so tired of it. I don't want to send anymore. I said to him, I hope when you get back from where he is, I don't want to give his location away, where he is right now, when he gets home, that it's there sitting for him. Because this time I did not send it by courier, but by regular mail. Yeah. But the UK is a mess when they receive something.
It's true. So
good Lord.
He is home because he's got a Rennes Le Chateau thing from when he was on the show. If you recall, he had something for the Saunier thing, something along those lines. So I don't know. But with that being said, guys, we are at the end of the show. I really hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. I enjoyed it. It's definitely something that was really different. I always get funny about talking about other shows or people. I don't like to do that, but it's interesting because a lot of people don't know what's going on. And I think it's important because, again, it's one of my show that I really enjoy watching was Destination Fear. And to know it didn't just disappear, that it's actually coming back under another name and another platform, I think that's really amazing. You know what, Bradley?
Bradley, you'd have to pay for Joe's flight and his hotel to get him there. Yeah, we would just fly there, but Joe would expect he would expect it to be paid for. Oh my God,
it's true. But with that being said, we have come to the end of another amazing segment. So we want to thank everybody who tuned in to the chat room. You guys make it so much fun. It was just loaded. I don't think you guys realize you only see the one chat room you're on. We have seven locations coming down into one. It's like a super 8-lane highway coming down into like one lane. So we don't always get to post everything, but we do try. We do try to get to everybody. So you guys are really awesome. What else do we have tomorrow night? Tomorrow night we have the return of, I would say, the frequent flyer guest, Preston Dennett.
Third host.
He's just amazing. He's an amazing guest always. He's like, I always say, we have some guests where it's like open door policy, and we really do mean it. He's got some amazing stories from ET contact and UFO experiences all lined up for us, and he's going to. I'd asked him if he could touch on the CE5, the whole CE5 movement that's going on, because Michael Carter was on, and he raised a good point when he was on the show with the CE5 movement. It's like you don't always know what you're getting. And I basically want to get Preston's take on that as well. Night, Bradley. Big hugs to you as well. So I thought maybe that would be one of the interesting topics if he could squeeze that in with us. And of course, he's got books with a million stories. So who knows where it's going to go, but we know it's going to go really well. So big thank you again to everybody. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee, who do sponsor our show. Big thank you to Justin Snicker, Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist, of course, behind The Outer Realm. If you want to contact us, emails right there, streaming across, the Outer Realm contact@gmail.com. And you know, appreciate what you're seeing and you like it, just like it, love it, follow it, subscribe it, you know, share it, comment. I can go on and on and on. So just do that.
Invite.
Yeah, there we go. Right. But anyway, we shall see you guys all tomorrow night. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in and good night.